Have you ever noticed how every prominent Black woman that rises to influence in America, no matter how conservative she claims to be, eventually she turns on either God, the family, or America? And today I'm going to show you how Candace Owens is just as much as a feminist as Michelle Obama and Beyonce, just as much of a leftist as Oprah and Michelle. There is no difference. What's up, everybody? I'm Quisha King Benton, and we're going all in. Oprah, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, and yes, Candace Owens, farmer. These are women who have achieved their ancestors' wildest dreams, right? Yet instead of gratitude, we hear grievance.
Let me ask you about your country. Do you think that your country has become greater since? Has our country become greater since? Absolutely not.
And let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country because it feels like hope is finally making a comeback.
Instead of humility, we get arrogance.
Just kind of like authenticate that email because I'm very aware of what's going on. Okay. And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night.
Instead of faith, rebellion.
Blackmail, in murder, in bombing children, in murdering and starving women and children to get what it wants, the deception. And I mean, you could talk about it on a widespread level. You could talk about it on a historical level. You could talk about it on a molecular or a personal level. It is like a requirement to support Zionism. You just have to lie. You have to lie like all the time.
If you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
He also knew that I was the only person who was going to step up to defend him after he was gone.
And why do these Black women, these prominent Black women, seem to be incapable of having fame, influence, and wealth and remain committed to God, family, and country?
I bathed in bleach and plugged my mentees with pages from the holy book.
And you take a look at what you and your brother have built, and I had not even realized how successful Hustler University was. It's a full disruption to traditional education system that most kids can afford and don't need to go into six-figure debt for because it's $49.99 for a course.
And we're going to talk about how Christian wives, mothers, and women should respond to issues that are going on in society from a truly biblical perspective. Okay, so this has been on my heart for some time. Y'all know when I do these videos, they truly do come from a place of deep thought and, reflection and things like that. And I've noticed some things with Mrs. Farmer. And especially since this whole, Charlie Kirk thing, and I'm just watching some things, and I'm like, as a Christian woman, wife, mother myself, I'm not seeing where we're putting our traditional, our Christian values. I'm not sure that she's being led by those things. And so Oprah, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, and Candace, all of these women are products of the same feminist Marxist ideology that teaches that submission is oppression and that rebellion, well, that's just liberation. Feminism says you don't need a man, and Marxism says you don't need a God. But together they produce the same spirit from the garden, the same spirit that wants to be like the Most High, the same spirit that saw the fruit, that went to Eve and got her to look at the fruit at a different way, to look at how you should be a wife, a mother, a woman, a different way. Did God really say? And when Eve saw that the fruit of this tree, it was good to eat, it was good for her desires, good for her her to good for the eye. It was beautiful to the eye, and it would make one like God, make one wise, make one have knowledge. Now we know that our natural state of being is nurturer. It is a softer spirit. We women tend to, we are, physically, we don't have the same strengths as men. We're not built to be protectors and providers. Okay. You get my drift? We're built to be mothers and wives and help meets. That's what God says we are here to do. That's why God created us. He said, he looked at man and said, it's not good for a man to be alone. He's about to tell you what he created you for, ladies. Listen up. He said, I will make for him a helper. That is your job, to help the man. So that means you have to submit to his way. And it also means you have to submit to God's way. We weren't made to be out in the world doing all of this, being in the world in that way. Made to be in the thick of it, like where you are wheeling and dealing with the men. Like, yes, be a part of politics, but do it from your role. Do it from your assignment. Don't try to overlord like the Bible. See, one of the curses in the Bible is that Eve is going to want to be like her husband. She's going to, no, I'm sorry, she's going to want to rule over her husband. And it says, but he will have to, subdue her. He's going to have to sit her down, because the woman, her nature now, because she's mixed with a carnal nature, it's going to be to try to rule over her husband, which is to come out of her natural place. See, what people like Candace and Michelle Obama, Beyonce, they wear virtue as like a camouflage, as a disguise to hide their true rebellion. For instance, Candace says, well, can't nobody tell me to shut up but my husband. And Erica.
Okay, so I want to be very clear here. No one, and I mean absolutely no one, outside of my husband and Erica Kirk has the power to shut me up right now. That's it. 2 people. If you got to make an appeal, you got to go to them.
Like, on its face, it sounds like it might, that's virtuous. But when you dig a little deeper, that whole statement was really Candace focused, not I want to make sure I'm in line with my husband focus, because you would have done that before you opened your mouth. You only made a statement because other people were saying something. Oh, well, my husband could shut me up. No, ma'am. You can mouth the words, but everybody can see you're not honoring your husband. She's not the only one. Oprah uses this language and these their words to camouflage their rebellion. Oh, it's your truth. Find your own truth. Michelle Obama, she's just bitter about her whole entire life. You became the president, the first lady you were the most powerful woman in the entire world for 8 years, voted in by all people, mostly white folks. And you sit up there and you bash your husband publicly, and you bash the country publicly. They all do the same thing. They all directly or indirectly bash their husbands. They emasculate their husbands with their public dominance, because your public dominance, your public unruliness it is a reflection of your husband. Nobody's looking at George Farmer and Barack Obama after listening, or Jay-Z after listening to Michelle, Candace, and Beyonce, and they're like, yes, their husband, they're strong men. Their household is in control. Nobody, absolutely nobody who has spiritual discernment, Nobody who truly honors the Lord, nobody who is filled with the Holy Spirit is looking at these women and saying their households are good. Guarantee you, zero people are doing this. Candace even goes even further. This is where the Marxism kicks in. She goes even further. She's blaming the Jews for everything. I'm sorry. How is that different from what Michelle, Oprah, and Beyonce do? Blame all the white people for their problems, but they don't even see it. They can't be grateful. All they do is sit up here and complain about not having enough, being silenced, being attacked. I'm a victim. Candace says, not so fast, Jews. Y'all can't be victims because you are guilty of victimizing her. The victim mentality, all four of these women carry it. The bitterness mentality, all four of these women carry it. Beyonce's looks a little different, but just go listen to the Black is King and the Goddess, I'm a goddess, and you know, everybody else is you mad, you up here, but white people is the problem, girl. Ugh. Candace claims she's about Charlie's legacy, but how? How are you concerned about his family when his children will go back and see all of this stuff that you said about their mother? How are you a Christian wife, mother, woman who is not a feminist, supposedly, and you're not concerned with his children's with their legacy, their father's legacy, and trying to make sure that you don't tarnish it? Every day you get up here and you tear him down. And that is exactly what all of these women do. Every time they start to exert their power, they got to get the men's balls. They want them. Put them in their purse and just carry them around, and then they'll give them back to you when they see fit. Certainly, Candace. She wants war.
And I do not want people to mistake what's happening right now or to wrongly assume my attentions here. So allow me to be very explicit, okay? I want war with all of you, okay? All of you.
Put your dick up. You're a woman.
That is masculine. Does that sound like a wife? Does that sound like a mother to you? I want war. Does that sound like someone who is protective of her home, who is protecting the the sanity of her home, the peacefulness of her home? You're inviting war into your. Does that sound like a Christian wife, mother, woman? Does that sound like an anti-feminist?
Hi, hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Princella, the Queen Maker.
Love that.
So you heard that. That was a lesbian woman claiming that she was a queen maker. Now, I don't expect Candace to know that she was a lesbian, but if Candace really truly does not believe in feminism, then why wouldn't she disagree with a woman trying to be a queen maker? Because only kings can make queens. She loves it. Remember, listen to what she said. Ooh, I love that. There was no antenna. There wasn't a conviction. It was, something's wrong with that. Not saying that she had to attack her, but notice she agreed with it. That's where her heart truly is. It does not miss me that she's going on and on, talking about Charlie in a way that is very inappropriate. Again, trying to wear her virtue, to camouflage, wearing her virtue, but camouflaging it as rebellion.
He also knew that I was the only person who was going to step up to defend him after he was gone.
Oh, I'm so concerned. Oh, he was so dear. You're going on and on and on about this. Oh, here are pictures of us booed up. Oh, he told me his secrets. I'm dreaming about him. Oh, really? Let me tell you something. I don't know any man that leads his family well that appreciates his wife publicly with all of this influence, talking on and on and on about another man. It's embarrassing.
I just knew.
We don't know now, but we know.
Kind of, when I met her, I was like, this is a woman who, she just commanded a power. It was very difficult to describe. Nothing romantic was said, you know, between that day and the day that we got engaged. Nothing romantic was said at all. You know, there was no overtures. Like we didn't go for dinner. Like we didn't take it. Nothing.
Send her flowers.
No, nothing. Yeah, nothing. Exactly. I was very willing to let myself fade and give glory to her. You know, that's how I view our marriage in many ways. Like I'm very happy to take a secondary position to give glory to her. She was this tour de force, you know, incredible mind, incredible beauty. I was so willing to just be enraptured to her.
The fruit that Candace Owens is producing looks exactly like the same Black women, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, and Oprah Winfrey, the prominent Black women. They cannot seem to have fame, influence, money, and keep their homes in check. We don't even see Hillary Clinton bashing Bill Clinton, and there's a lot of material there. We don't see her doing that. What is it about a Black woman where she can't keep her mouth shut and be submitted to her husband, to her family, to her country, to God? Why you can't do that? What is it? When Jay-Z is up here talking about, oh, let's, you know, his wife is on stage promoting abortion, reproductive rights. Oh, Kamala. Yeah. And you have kids yourself. Where's the leadership? What real man agrees with ending legacy? That's beta. So how does God tell us to respond as wives, women, mothers? A woman of God builds. A rebellious woman destroys. And you can never change that. You will never change God's principles of righteous women building and rebellious women destroying. You look throughout the Bible. If you're rebellious, you destroy. If you're righteous, you build. The left, they are destroyers. Why? Because they are in rebellion. They rebel against everything against God, hence they destroy. You cannot subvert God's rules. And that's what Black women like to do. They love to subvert God's rules. Why? Because Black women have never had to be held accountable by society. Every other people group, their women have had to be held accountable. Their men hold them accountable. Not in Black communities. Women can run roughshod. Look at what a majority, let me tell you something. 84% of Black American women leave their families. So they are the ones leaving the families as single families. 75% of births are already to single mothers. And we lead nearly every negative statistic tied to home stability, poverty, behavioral issues, crime. So all of this data, all these decades, and we still doing the same, and they still doing the same thing. Black women have not, they're getting worse. They're observing the outcomes and they're not changing. When you see these phenomenons, this is not just a cultural circumstance. This is spiritual. because you are acting outside of God's order. That's why Black women don't like America, because America is made up of law and order, and Black women don't like rules. She posts on X, because we are a slave colony, all of our money goes to the military's never-ending bombing of Middle Eastern countries. I think it's referred to euphemistically as spreading democracy. Oh, and the ethnic cleansing of Ukrainians. Not sure who they plan to mass migrate into Ukraine now that millions have fled and there are no fighting age men to defend those who remain. But that's coming. She also posed, baked into the concept of joining the military is the defense of our homeland first and foremost, not the homeland of foreign countries. Given the state of politics, I cannot think of a single reason why any American would sign on to serve. We are clearly no longer sovereign. Now, this is clearly a woman that does not understand nor seem to know that there are rules to war, that there are rules of engagement, that there are practices and processes and protocols that have been thought out over decades. But there are rules, and she clearly does not know them and does not care to know them. She also ignorantly dismisses the fact that when men serve, there is an honor for their service. She does not respect God's rules, his order. What is deeply embedded into the Black woman's feminist mindset is, despite data, rules, God's word, those Black women want their way above all. They will rule over the crumbling disaster that they have created, but at least they will be a queen.
If you're looking for people that behave like literally Hitler, it ain't me, buddy. You got to start examining your own government. That's all I'm going to say.
That's why they hate America, because in America, in practice, in theory, in idea, you have to work for what you get. See, but when you are, you want the DEI and you want to be able to subvert the system, and the system has allowed for this rebellion because you're Black and you happen to be a woman. There's no accountability. America, just like marriage, it thrives only on submission to God's order. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Anti-American women reject order because they reject submission. It's crazy to notice that there are zero prominent Black American women who love their country, love their family, and love God. Find me one true to the core. Because Candace ain't it. She's clearly, we thought that might have been the one, but she's left that post. There's nothing wrong with being a strong woman. It's nothing wrong with, God has given us a measure of power. Absolutely. But when your power is misplaced and you're trying to overpower your husband, you've created a monster and you're out of God's order. In any time, I don't care who you are, man, woman, anytime you are out of God's order, you will crumble. You will crash and burn. Literally. Real empowerment, real freedom is when you are fully embracing God's role that he gave you. It's nothing wrong with being a godly wife who is submitted to her husband. Why is that a problem? When you accept and embrace it, it is enjoyable. It brings out something beautiful in you that a man could never be. Stop trying to be him and enjoy how God made you. You know, being a feminist is like, it's the beginning of trans. Oh my God. Feminism is the beginning of trans because you are trying to be like a man. Submission is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is wisdom in being where God has placed you. That's where you're going to thrive the best. That being in God's order, because he knows what he made. That's what's going to benefit you, your life, your husband, and your children the best. And I'm not saying that looks the same for every woman, but there's some foundational things that can't be changed. Proverbs 14, 1-3 says, the wisest of women builds her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is devious in his ways despises him. By the mouth of a fool comes a rock for his back, but the lips of the wise will preserve them. And I want to read to you the study notes on that verse. So this is 14, 1-3. It says, the benefits of the sensible labor of the wisest of women and the prudent speech of the wise are contrasted with the way in which the acts of folly and the words of the fool ultimately result in self-harm, with her own hands tearing it down. Sinful people sometimes become highly irrational and foolishly destroy the fruit of many years of work. Now, my goal is not to tear down Candace Owens. That is not my goal. My family is praying for Candace. We are still praying for her family. We're praying for Charlie's family, obviously praying for different things. But the goal is for that. Candace is not the only woman that behaves this way. The goal is to show women, wives, mothers who claim to be Christian or want to do better as wives, mothers, and women, to see the error of people like Candace, Michelle Obama, Beyonce, Oprah, and choose different. Because if they keep going that way and do not repent, they are going to be far away from the Lord. Far away, because God is not pleased with that kind of thing. My family comes from cult. My grandmother died in a cult. My mother was in a cult, and I had another family member that was in a cult not too long ago, a few years back. Thank God they're out. Thank God. But when you see the formings of the cult, which is what I see happening with Candace Owens and these, where she presents herself as the all-knowing, all-seeing person, and that she is the one that will decide what is true or not, I got to stop you right there. That is not walking in a biblical womanhood. That is not walking in biblical, being a biblical wife. That is not being a biblical minded mother. When you are going to take the reins and it's all up on what you decide. That is not how this goes. And this is important to me because when you see something happening and I escaped this indoctrination. God told me that my skin color had become an idol in my life, and him delivering me from that helped me to see where I was lost. And that is my goal, to help other women see, other people see, particularly women, see where they are going astray, where they are venturing off and possibly being led down a bad road by this false teacher, Candace Owens. In those these of us times, we have to the name of Christ, who follow Jesus. If you are truly following him, we have to be able to discern where the
there should be
deception
some
is coming
conviction
from,
in the
even
things
when it
that,
comes from
we
people
listen
that
to,
we have long,
just like when we hear it
liked,
from Michelle
admired,
Obama.
whatever. The Bible
When you
says,
hear
don't
it
have
from
faith in any
Candace,
man.
it's because it's the same spirit.
Meaning, so
It's
you
the same
so
spirit. It's just coming
committed
from a
to
different
them
mouth.
that even when they are wrong, they are proving
Be-
themselves to not be
Inspect the
the
fruits
person
of
that
what
they
people
have
are
claimed
doing.
to be.
So you do
you
not
still
get
rocking
led
down a road.
You are
of
putting
deception.
that
That is exactly
person
what I see
over
Candace Owens
God's
doing.
word.
I feel like this is the
Because
beginning
God says,
of a
do not have
road to
fellowship with those
deception.
kind
This
of
is the
people.
beginning of a new broad way that people are going. And so I say, take heed. Don't go. Narrow is the way that leads to righteousness, life everlasting. Broad is the way that leads to destruction. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know what you think. Let me know what you think about what I think in the comment section below. I look forward to reading your thoughts. Until next time, God willing, I will see you guys again. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.